Hey y'all, it is another episode of She Looks Like Me. We are in a new year, new vibes, new energy, and I am super excited for my guest today. My guest, Dr. Gimel Rogers, is a licensed psychologist and board certified in clinical psychology from the American Board of Professional Psychology. With over 10 years of clinical, professional speaking, and training experience, she is the owner of Fire Igniting Lives and founder of One Temple Fitness. Yes, get fit. She is visiting faculty and the associate director of the online MAP, MACLP programs at Pepperdine University. Receipts. She earned her doctorate from Pepperdine University and has provided trauma focused care with clients from the Children of the Night program, the Ventura Youth Correctional Facility, FCI Terminal Island, and community programs serving survivors of intimate partner violence. Dr. Rogers presently works with survivors who are recovering from emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. She utilizes an array of therapeutic interventions with an emphasis on cognitive behavioral therapy. Additionally, she assists clients who are involved in criminal, family, and civil cases involving a broad range of forensic issues. She has published in the areas of culture, coping, spirituality, and trauma. Her inaugural book is the 21-Day Relationship Healing Devotional and Journal, a poetry based devotional that promotes restoration through reflection. She is also a content developer of the historical Trauma Power and Control Will. Good morning, Dr.
Good
Rogers.
morning. Good morning.
How are you?
I am so well. I'm glad to be here, glad to be in the building with you this morning and to just drop some nuggets for the people.
Me too. And I'm excited because I was telling somebody the other day, I said 2020 was a super weird year. And we talked about it that this year has high highs and low lows, and they're all happening all at the same time. And while, some people are experiencing highs, everybody around them is experiencing lows and vice versa. So it was just a weird time where you wanted to celebrate your wins, but at the same time, there was just something else right around the corner, either in your life or someone you knew's life.
Mm.
And so I just wanted to talk about finding your center in the new year.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is, it's going to be necessary because it seems that there are going to be some things trickling over from 2020 into 2021. So
Yes, I'll be listen. First, we can get past this inauguration.
listen here. That is the first hump. Okay. All lives together, just get past, seriously.
Once we can get past that, I can actually maybe start focusing on my life again. Like,
But seriously, and it's not even just from a standpoint of the country is in turmoil. It's from the standpoint of the country's ugly head is rearing itself, and as a black woman, that all they see you as a black woman, that they just might be mad that there is a black woman, that if something happens to the president, she will be the president, and some people cannot handle that. Okay, so yes, oh girl, that's a whole other podcast.
well,
Yeah.
listen. Yeah, we're gonna put a pin in that one. I'm taking notes. We'll talk about it. We'll debrief after, So we'll talk about that. But before we dive into our subject of finding your center, because I believe, like you said before we started recording, is the most important relationship you have is with yourself. So I want to know, in this crazy year of 2020, what has been bringing you joy?
Mind, body, and spirit. Honestly, finding my own center has brought me the most joy. So, from the mental standpoint, at the top of the year, I said, I'm going to step out on faith and I'm going to give my resignation and just really focus on my private practice. And how the year unfolded, they were like, no, can you at least go part time? And then God blessed me with Pepperdine, and I officially resigned. But putting my own mental state first. That is very important because joy is an inside job, happiness is an external job. And so, joy, peace, love, hope, all of that is very much so internal. And because I'm a Christian, I know that God also helps center us and center those internal aspects. And so, even when things get chaotic, if I have joy and peace in my life because my mental state is put together, because I don't work in a toxic environment, right? Then that really helps me. And then from the body standpoint, shameless shout out to the heat challenge. Let me tell you, okay, because I support DP and everything he got going on with the heat challenge. And just really focusing that I have to practice what I preach. I tell people your food affects your mood. There's certain chemicals in various foods that actually interact with other chemicals in your brain, and so it affects your mood. And so if you're eating a lot of processed foods, a lot of high sugar foods, it's going to impact your clarity of your mind, how you think. We see that in food deserts with children who only have access to corner stores and liquor stores as their grocery stores, and then they go to school and they can't concentrate. So it's the same thing as adults. We have to take care of ourselves. And then spiritually, just continuing to make sure that I fast, and not intermittent fasting that we're reading on the internet. No, no, like Christian fasting, because when you're just fasting from food, that's called a diet. Christian fasting is when you take away something and you replace it with solitude, such as prayer, meditation, or just spending time alone in silence, right? And so for me, what brings me joy is when I focus on my mind, body, and my spirit, my one temple, to make sure that I stay whole, especially in the profession that I'm in. It's necessary.
Look, if anybody knows, they always tell you on the plane, put your oxygen mask on first
That part.
and then help the person next to you. And you're like, but wait a minute, that's my baby. Like, I gotta. And they're like, no.
No. Right, absolutely. And that's why I say every great therapist has a therapist, okay? You have to. It's necessary.
I love that you said, like true fasting is taking away something and replacing it with someone else, because that's one of the recommendations. Anytime I'm going into a fast, my therapist, I'm
Mhm.
always quick to tell her all the things I'm going to stop doing. And she's like, okay, well, what are you going to do in place of that? Like, you have to, because all your body or all your mind is going to know is you're almost being punished. It feels like you're being punished and something's being taken away from you, and to kind of like trick your brain, if you will, is
Mhm.
to give yourself something else that's going to feed your spirit.
Absolutely, absolutely. And from the Christian perspective, it's okay, I'm going to shift my mind and focus on what is this scripture saying, or I'm going to shift my mind and focus on, okay, if I'm praying right now, what is God saying? Or even some people tap into the ancestors. What are your ancestors saying? Whatever your modality of belief is, that you need to strengthen your mind, because that's help strengthening your discipline. And
Mm.
when you strengthen your discipline, that helps you become more intrinsically motivated. And when we talk about this relationship with ourselves, intrinsic motivation is key to help really ignite your perseverance and to press forward in whatever the situation is. So it all just kind of ties in together.
Yes, and Lord knows we have to press forward because we don't have any other choice. I think about that sometimes when I'm like going through difficult stuff. I'm like, I could lay here, but nothing's going to get accomplished.
Mhm.
And, I'm going to continue to feel this way because nothing's changing.
Right.
So, finding that motivation from a place that isn't fueled by external validation or like praise or whatever
Mhm.
that looks like,
Mhm.
or the opposite, which is doing it because they said you couldn't do it, all of
Mhm.
that energy. And so that's why I think finding our center, that's why I was like, yes, I'm so glad we talked about
Mhm.
talking about this,
Mhm.
because I'm like, that's so important. I actually just read a book, and the author of the book, she basically was like, to find true peace within yourself is to not swing one way or the other too much.
Yes.
So whether it's swing in a downward spiral or get too high on your own hype, it's like finding your
Mhm.
center is being able to let all of it happen and kind of not get swayed too much. And
Mhm.
so I'm so glad we could talk about this. And I definitely want to glean from your expertise on your thoughts on that. And then we'll kind of dive into again the relationship with self
Mhm.
and what it looks to actually get grounded and centered.
Okay. Sounds good. So first, I do want to just kind of start off with some definitions, right? Because sometimes people use centering and grounding interchangeably. but they're really not the same thing, right? And so
Mhm.
centering usually refers to our mental and our physical state of mind. It's a place where we know that we have to get to when we're not feeling ourselves, like you said, out of balance, when we're not feeling centered, when we're not feeling balanced, when we're not feeling aligned. That's where we have to get ourselves, when we're not feel when we feel lost inside of ourselves, or when we feel out of touch with ourselves. When we center ourselves, we bring calmness and peace to our emotions. And whereas grounding, that's a term that a lot of people use when they talk about like energy fields and the energy around us, and being grounded in content of like who we are and where we are, and we're very assured of our decisions because of our confidence that we walk in, because of the energy that we have. And so just to kind of sum it up, according to Psychology Today, and for all of those who are out there, Psychology Today is a good resource to find a therapist. It's also a good resource to just read up on different things. But according to Psychology Today, in a snapshot, individuals who are centered are typically calm and peaceful, whereas grounding, as I indicated, is just a term that we use for energy fields. So being grounded means that you are content with who you are, you're sure of yourselves, and you have confidence in the decisions that you make. And so, in order to get grounded, you need to be centered, because when you're centered, there's this peace and there's this calm about yourself. And so, just kind of want to lay that foundation, because when you're centered, then you're able to have a healthy relationship with yourself. And all these times people want to talk about like getting in a relationship, you could be married and not have a healthy relationship with yourself, because you don't really know how to truly love yourself and understand that there's always room for improvement. Also, some of us, we need to learn how to possess the gift of goodbye. And so the gift of goodbye means you have to put down all of these little small bags and pick up your big bags. And when I say small bags, because even Erica Badu says carrying all these bags, it's going to get heavy. Okay. And all you must do is hold on to is you. Erica said that. But some of us, we're not really understanding. And so I'm going to break that down for you. Okay. She said we got to hold on to the right bags, the bags that you are beautiful, anointed, gifted, and smart. And we have to throw away the little bags, the bags of betrayal, abuse, guilt, and shame. And so when we actually hold on to our true selves and who we are, then it's easier in times of struggle to become centered, right? Now, yes, I'm gonna throw a little disclaimer. I'm a psychologist, but I am not going to give you therapy, but I am going to give you some tips. So, some tips are, if you're truly depressed, the bottom line is you will need therapy, and you will, and some people may even need medication, not all, but some. And true depression is more than I feel sad or I'm struggling today. True depression is where you cannot see anything in your life getting better, where you're not showering, where you're not eating, where it's actually impacting your work. I'm not talking about true depression. I'm talking about, we all have our ups and our downs. 2020 was crazy. And a lot of us became sad and felt just like, will things ever get better? But not everybody hit that rock bottom depression, right? And so, for those of you who are more in that just sad category, sometimes feeling a little helpless or hopeless, I want you to ask yourself, am I carrying my big bags, my bags that remind me that I am beautiful, anointed, gifted, and smart? Or am I carrying my bags of guilt? I didn't save enough money, so I wasn't prepared for the pandemic, or shame that I let my business partner take advantage of me. Like, what are you carrying? Because when you let go of those little bags and just really hold on to your big bags, then it'll help you persevere through the hard times, and you'll start to love yourself and forgive yourself, and you could be your own encourager. And to know that there's always room for improvement, to know that you have to have an undefeated attitude even when you feel defeated. have an unfeeded attitude, because Zig Ziglar said what? It's your attitude more than your aptitude that will determine your altitude, how high you're going to go. And then you also must truly see others for who they are. Oftentimes when we talk about having a healthy relationship with ourselves, we want to focus on other people, but we don't want to focus on the person, like who they really are. And so we need to say, this is who they really are. Does this person need to be in my life? Point blank, period. Boundaries. Okay. It's your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your cousin. It doesn't matter, because you cannot be centered and actually have this calm and this peace about yourself. You can't be grounded and really walk with your head up high, shoulders back into everything that you do if you around toxic and unhealthy people, even if they gave birth to you. Boundaries, okay? And so and because we most ethnically diverse individuals, we believe in collectivism. We want to be around people, but you could be around people in doses where they won't take away from who you are and uncenter yourself and really try to drain you. So I just encourage you in this season, in the year 2021, focus on having a healthy relationship with yourself, because the only way that you're going to get to being grounded and centered is if you have a healthy relationship with yourself.
I just feel like you gave us a whole self-care guide of, like, how to get your life together ASAP. Between your big bags and your little bags and the gift of goodbye, I'm just like, there's just it's I love it. Like, I one of the things that I was challenged with is redefining the way that I look at self-care. On a previous episode, we talked about self-care and self-preservation, and my interview guest politely but lovingly got me together because when I started talking about self-care, I'm talking about, face masks and, getting a pedicure, and she was like,
No,
"Sis."
ma'am.
She's like, "Sis, that's cute, but that ain't it." And I was like, "But wait, you mean to tell me that me taking that bath?" And I mean, I know that's part of
Mhm,
it, right? Like there
mhm.
are physical things you can do to care for yourself, but I think true self-care is, like you said, boundaries,
Mhm.
really kind of leaning into self-worth, investing in yourself in that way and your emotional and mental health and wellness, and then absolutely getting a therapist
Mhm.
to take you through those times.
Mhm. Because what I call those temporary fixes, like going and putting on a face mask, that's cute. That's a temporary fix, right? But at the end of the day, if truly when you look in the mirror, if you still feel ugly, that face mask didn't do anything for you. And so that's why the inner work is so important. Now, when you're starting to feel burnt out, then those external things of self-care really matter. But only when you're like you're whole on the inside, but because you stretch yourself so much, you start to feel stressed and then exhausted and then burnt out. That's when you need the pedicure, the spa weekend getaway, because that's when you feel relaxed and rejuvenated. But if you're not there on the inside, girl, you could spend all that money on the relaxation and the rejuvenation, and it's not going to do anything, because it's the inside that we need to take care of.
So speaking of the inside, I want to because I like to frame, and I know you've talked a little bit about the sadness and possibly like what that scale is, possibly to depression.
Mhm.
I'm curious if maybe we can just spend like a minute or two talking about what a lack of centeredness looks like.
Mhm.
Like what because I think sometimes people operate in behavior patterns that they just think is the way that it's supposed to be, and it's like, you don't have to feel like that, right? Like, but sometimes people don't even realize that something that they're doing or a way that they feel is they have the authority and the capacity to change that.
Mhm.
I would love to know from you what it how it shows up. Maybe I don't know if you've had clients that have just kind of not felt centered or just in your work and practice, what that maybe has shown up and looked like.
So, a lack of centeredness is somebody who is constantly on the go, and they can't take in the moment. So, for example, if you're always have like the shortness of breath, you're not taking deep breaths. Literally deep breathing, counting to 10, being slow and deliberate, that's necessary for your mind. Why? And for your brain, because it actually activates the parasympathetic nervous system. So that means the parasympathetic, think of your brakes, or it parachutes you down. So if you're always on the go, if you feel like you have high emotions, high intensity, you need to become centered. You got to slow yourself down. And so that's really the key characteristic of somebody who's not centered. They're always ripping and running, and not just like physically up and down the highway or going from one job to the next, but emotionally. And even within their decisions, there's just like impulsivity behind it, instead of saying, okay, hold on, let me just sit down. People who necessarily have a list in their mind, but they can't stick to it. Right. And so that's because they're always trying to, again, go from one thing to the next. So sitting down and making a list of, okay, this is my to do list, but what are things that I love to do? Who are people that I love to hang out with? Like, how can I get back to feeling just this equilibrium, this peace, this balance in my life? Also, something to help somebody to become centered is to acknowledge all of their senses. So a piece of this is mindfulness, right? When you're on the go so much, even just like, I don't have time to eat, I'm going from my podcast to my therapy session to I'm going out on a date to now I got to come home and fix dinner for my child. Like, when you have all these 50 million things going on, do you even know what your food tastes like? Like, do you know? Like, seriously, you could tell me that you ate dinner, but what did it taste like? Do you even recall what you ate? Like, being that out of touch with the present moment. And so, when somebody's feeling unbalanced and out of centered, it's they can't even just relax to enjoy the moment. And a part of that is, in addition to the breathing, in addition to actually being very present in everything that you're engaging in, to help get you there, mindfulness meditation. And so, if you don't know how to slow down, there's a lot of free apps. A lot of free apps. Find the one that you like. Start off with 1 minute, 5 minutes. You can work your way up to 15 minutes. That will also very much so help you. And of course, engaging in activities. Now, you might call me a hypocrite because I'm not a big fan of yoga. I've tried it, like, and there's different types. And I will go and support. I have a Spelman sister who opened up a yoga studio in Atlanta. I will go and support, but guess what? That ain't my number one go to. I want to lift some weights, okay? But yoga does help you center yourself mentally. And so if you're feeling out of balance, that is a really great exercise. And then if you're not there yet, go walking. Find a place where you can just observe the outdoors and take it slow. Take it slow. Notice the children playing. Notice the leaves turning. If it's snow outside, well, don't. Just, it might be too cold, but, but seriously, and people are like, they want these like magical answers. To find peace in your life, it's not that difficult. When I say it's not that difficult, obviously everybody's situation is different, but you don't need to go spend thousands of dollars for peace. Walking free, you just gotta get some shoes, right? Yoga, there's a lot of people on YouTube, and you can do moves in your home. And so these are tangible tools that you can use to help get yourself to a place of, a lot was going on, but now I'm ready for my day. And I encourage people to try to do stuff, not just roll out of bed, roll on to the first thing. Take time in the morning, even 5 minutes. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Just focus on, okay, I know I have a busy day ahead of me, but now that I feel centered, let's go.
I could not agree more. And honestly, I'm not even gonna lie, I'm gonna toot my own horn for a second because I have been in a meditation and prayer ritual for at least the last month, probably about the last
Okay.
45 days or so. And when I tell you that it is so strange, I was just having this conversation with my roommate, but I'm like, I start my day as soon as I get out of bed, I hit the floor, I do a meditation, I write in my journal, and I read a chapter in a book that I'm reading right now. Those are the first 3 things I do. I don't look at my phone, I don't check social media, I don't do any of those things because my anxiety starts to immediately go up with all the things that I have to do, the people I have to respond to, all the things. So my therapist was like, "Nope, soon as that eye cracks open, get up and meditate." And I feel like I have gotten so many more hours back in my day. I'm also fasting from alcohol right now, so there's
Yes,
that too. So I'm not
yes.
rolling out of bed feeling groggy, but
That part.
so there's that. But also, I just feel like the prayer and the meditation, it immediately slows my day down. It's so weird. Like I could do that at 7 or 8 o'clock and still feel like I have so many hours ahead to get so much accomplished.
Mhm.
So I completely agree with that. And I don't know what it is. Like the time doesn't move any differently in reality, but for me, it just feels like it's moving so much slower and I'm able to get more accomplished.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. I actually, used to tell my undergrads that, it was a Christian school, and I said, "Scripture tells us Jesus is the light of the world, and when you walk in the light, God is a redeemer of time. On the flip side, if you don't believe in Jesus, science tells us the closer you get to the sun, time slows down. So, either way, when you are walking in the light of positivity, when you're walking in the light of intentionality, time will redeem itself. And what you're doing right now is loving on yourself first, being intentional and deliberate with yourself first, and things will take care of themselves because time will redeem itself. Just stay in the light. Just stay
Yes.
in the light.
Ooh. So speaking of light, I'm curious because I one of the things about self-care that I am constantly and back and forth with myself is that staying in the light, when things come at us, people come at us. Staying centered feels so much easier said than done
Mhm,
when we're not being triggered.
mhm, mhm,
So
mhm,
so what sage advice do you have for somebody who may be like, listen, I'm really trying to do this work, but old girl at work.
mhm. And Imma bring this back to this is when we need to talk about being grounded, right? So being grounded is eating a balanced diet because again, food affects your mood. Being grounded is continuing the meditation practice, not like, okay, I did it for 5 days, it didn't work. No, 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 no. You gotta put in the work to see if it's going to work. Allowing yourself to say no. Oh, the power of no. Allowing yourself to have time to reflect, to say, okay, unhappy people like to make other people unhappy around them. Does she treat me this way or does she treat everybody this way? Because that's one thing I talked about with one of my clients. And when we took a step back and was like, no, her colleague does it with this person. And so it ain't personal. And once you realize it ain't personal, then it takes the weight off of your shoulders. When you realize it's not personal, you're like, okay, so it's that person's problem. And therefore, what they start to say, it just goes in one ear out the other. You stop listening to them and you hear them because we know that there's a difference between hearing somebody and listening. And so you're hearing the noise that they're talking, but you're not really listening because it doesn't pertain to you. Because this person is just unhappy in general and they do it to everybody. Now, if it is personal, in the most productive way, see if you can have a conversation to say, I've noticed that lately you said these things. And if I've done anything to offend you, I would like to address it. Because when you call that person out, one or two things going to happen. They are going to be like, I can't do nothing but respect it, or they're gonna punk out and not say anything, but their behaviors might change because you called them out, right? Or y'all gonna have a woman to woman or a man to man or just a face to face conversation about whatever it is. And so, but again, it's how you call the person out. Are you doing it respectfully, or are you like, and you said, because you come at somebody with that energy, you're going to get that energy back. So be mindful.
Okay. That's what I had one of my really good friends on another episode and she said that her therapist told her, "Does your help feel like help or does it feel like an attack? Cuz if it feels like an attack, it's attack."
That part right there.
And don't be surprised if the person bites back based on the energy that you came at them with.
Exactly, exactly, exactly.
But that's what I think, the journey of living, like, trying to live and operate from a place of light,
Mhm.
that's the beauty of that. Like, it's not an easy practice because
Mm-mm.
I have people that tell me all the time, they're like, "Simone, so and so just you just need to clap back at them, or you just need to go at them because they stay coming for you, and like, why they always trying you? They try you because they know they can get it." And I was like, "No, they I guess they do that to me because it doesn't in one ear out the other. Like, and I'm
Mhm.
not letting it stick to me. Like, I'm leaving the energy where it should be, which is with that person."
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially when you notice a pattern of behavior of like, man, this person's just manipulative. Like, do you want to like address it? Probably. Does it bother you? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, that's who that person is.
Mhm.
And we can't change people. We can hope that they change, but we can't change people, especially grown people, right? Like you cannot. If you have a child, yes, parent your child, but outside of that, you can't change grown people. And they have to want to change themselves. And so if you find yourself in an unhealthy work relationship, and work is scarce right now, you don't have to be subjected to abuse at the job. See if there's a healthy way to go about addressing it. If you find yourself in an unhealthy romantic relationship, that is optional. I don't care what nobody says, that's optional. You choose
Mhm.
your partners and you can go ahead and exit stage left for that relationship. Okay. But again, that's a whole other topic. That's a whole other topic.
Right. Same thing for friendships. Like, it is
Yes.
hard boundaries for friends.
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And really just asking yourself where you are in that relationship with that person. Is it more along the lines of this person's going through something, because we're all going through things, but people handle it differently. And so if you've been friends with that person for a very long time, then really parsing out, is this person's character or is it their personality? Because if it's their character, then yeah, no, they need to get out of your life. But if it's this person's personality, meaning it's showing up in this situation, something in this situation is bringing out this personality trait, then it's like, okay, you have to make the decision. Do you want to support this person through this difficult time because you know at their core they're not this way? Or do you want to say, I need to take a step back from this for a little bit because I can't support you right now through this because your behaviors are so toxic or your behaviors are just so draining that I can't do it. But we have to understand who we're working with, because sometimes we make excuses for people and that's their character, that's who they are at their core. But sometimes we leave people too soon when it's just situational personality traits that are presenting itself, right? But
Mm,
but you have to know the person, you have to make the decision.
yes, that part. That. Well, I've just been trying to take stock of, well, I take stock of myself and what role I play in
Mhm.
relationships.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
I'm trying to be more accountable, in the new year, in 2020, but going into 2021,
Mhm.
being more accountable for how I show up, and the energy that I bring to a situation. But
Mm.
also, I look at somebody else, and especially if it's somebody I've known for a while, I look at, okay, have we been here before?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Have we been here before, and what were the parameters around? What was the context around, like, every time we are here, is there a pattern? It's like, okay, oh, every time we're here is because you enter into a relationship, and since you picked unhealthy people, that kind of molds your personality. Or every time we're here, it's you get a new job and then you start to feel brand new, that you just don't need our friendship. And so now I'm just like, you only call me when you need something from me type of friend. Or you see what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, look for the context, look for the patterns, right? It says a lot. It says a lot.
Mm. So one of the things that I say all the time is that, feelings aren't facts. Because what we feel and what's real a lot of times are not necessarily the same thing. So I want to know, in this quest to be centered in the new year,
Mhm.
how we can position ourselves for success in that regard with being able to separate ourselves from not separate ourselves from our emotions, because I don't think that's the answer.
Mhm.
So hopefully maybe you understand where I'm trying to go with this.
Absolutely. It's more so separate the feelings from the situation, right? Acknowledge your feelings, own your feelings. So, for example, if something occurs and your first reaction is, I'm so angry, take a pause before you react, because there's a difference between responding and reacting. Reacting is literally reaction. Whatever happens, you're just reacting to that, versus a response is more intentional and thoughtful. And so in the new year, you want to make sure that you're responding and not just reacting, right? And in order to do that, if you say, I'm so angry, pause and say, okay, what am I really feeling? Because anger, while it's an emotion, it's a secondary emotion. So, what am I really feeling? I'm actually frustrated. Okay, so why am I frustrated? I'm frustrated because this person continues to do the same thing over and over again. And so now I feel unheard. And now, since I feel unheard, I don't feel that my feelings are valid. So, it's not just you're angry. And if you don't ask yourself those questions to be like, what am I really feeling and why am I really feeling this way? That we're going to be focused on the peripheral. We're going to be focused so much on the outside stuff that you can never get to the core of the issue. And if it's a business partner, a romantic partner, or a family member, it's easier to go to them and say, I feel unheard. And that my suggestions or my desires don't matter because you keep doing the same thing over and over again. Versus, I'm so angry because you forget to take out the trash and you know trash day is Tuesday. It's like, bruh, like, whoa, calm down, right? And so, because all they're hearing is, I'm so angry over some trash. No, 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 no. It's, I have a request, you dismiss it. And so, in order to give that information out, you have to do the work yourself and ask yourself, I feel this way. Why do I feel this way? And then you can actually go back to the fact in the matter. The fact of the matter is, time and time again, you've asked this person to do something, it never gets done. And so, therefore, you feel unheard. And it's not just, I'm so angry. Also, looking at fact versus feeling, where's the evidence to support that? Where is the evidence? Although your feelings may be valid, where is the evidence to support that in this situation? Right? And where's the evidence that doesn't support it? What's the evidence against it? And so, if a situation happens and you say, I'm so angry, and you start to ask yourself those questions, and you're like, I don't really have any evidence to support that. I need to be justified in my anger this on this level, when in reality, this person only did this to me. And my response is this because I'm responding to somebody from 5 years ago. And then that means you got to do your work, because it's not the fact that the situation might have been wrong or that the person could have been condescending or rude to you, but the level of response is unwarranted because it's everything that you haven't dealt with. And so when you start to ask yourself the questions of where's the evidence for it, you may say there's no evidence in this situation. And so while the situation looks the same, it's not. And so while my feelings may be valid, it's not for this situation, right? And so really talking to yourself, that's the bottom line. Talk to yourself.
You know what? I feel like I got so much grief my whole childhood for being the only child that talked to myself, and here we are 32 years later, and I'm getting advice to talk to myself.
Yes, absolutely. Seriously. Walk yourself off the ledge, because people won't always be there. Walk yourself off the ledge.
But you know what I realized that, or I've heard or seen somewhere, is that they say, and granted, whether you talk to yourself out loud or it's an
Mhm.
in your mind thing, they say that people that talk to themselves have a better ability to like objectively rationalize through things and like get like problem solve, because it's like you're almost talking to another person, but you're just kind of rationalizing it with yourself.
So it's interesting you say that because that's how our brain registers it. When I tell my clients who use affirmations, I say it out loud because when you say it out loud, your brain is registering it that somebody else is saying it to you. And so don't just read it on your mirror. Don't just like read it. No, say it out loud. Say joy is an inside job. Peace is an inside job. I am lovable. The more you say it out loud, the more your brain registers it that somebody else is saying it to you, and therefore it'll help become more believable and you can get through.
Mm, I don't even know. I'm just like, Dr. Rogers, what else you got to share with us? I don't Imma just let you take the mic. Like, what else you got?
Listen, listen, we could be on here for days because there's just so much hurt and pain in the world that a lot of times it's from unresolved trauma of our childhood, whether, and some people just think, well, nobody touched me. You can have trauma without physical or sexual violence. A lot of people dismiss and don't even understand, I would say, the impact of emotional and psychological abuse. Emotional meaning like that verbal, that name calling, psychological abuse, making people think that you're crazy. So that's why it's hard for us to get centered and get grounded and to love ourselves and have a healthy relationship with ourselves because we dismiss some of the things that we went through in life and the impact that it continues to have on us.
It's funny you mentioned that. So one of the shows that I love, 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 it's on OWN. It's called
Mhm,
Ready to Love.
mhm, mhm,
And I love it because I feel like those kind of like incubator type scenarios show so much about people that even they sometimes are like, oh my gosh. And so there was this one girl on there, I won't say her name, but
mhm,
she on this current season, she basically talked about how she kind of has like this perfectionist, not flaw, but
mhm,
just personality trait, whatever. Because her dad, like she would come home and she would have all A's and a B, and her dad would focus on that one B and be like,
mhm,
"You probably got this B because you were talking in class," and and she.
mm,
It took her until being on this show, or maybe shortly before, because she said she had just started doing her self work,
mhm.
took her to getting to this place to say, that really affected me. The way that my dad used to talk to me as a kid really is showing up in my adult life and the way that I show up with other people and the way that I look at them and what they bring to the table.
Girl.
Needless to say, she had a whole listen. She therapized herself through that whole show, but she was able to at least recognize it. And I think that's the beauty of self work
Yes.
and self care is being able to say, you know what, this isn't a today thing that I'm experiencing. This is a something from back,
Mhm,
from childhood, from middle school, from high school or whatever.
mhm.
And being able to know where the source is actually from so that you don't, like you said, like just kind of have these emotional outbursts on people that didn't really deserve it.
Exactly. Exactly. And the thing is to be introspective enough and insightful enough to say, okay, I keep losing jobs and because of this. So, is it the fact that I'm picking the wrong jobs? No, maybe there's something inside of me that I need to look at and I need to change. Or I keep getting into it with people who think differently than me because I hate being challenged. And I hate being challenged because I always think that I'm right. And why do I need to feel like I'm always right? Like, it just, but you have to be introspective. You have to do the work. And some people, they think it's everybody else but themselves.
So I feel like that's self-care 101. Stop thinking it's everybody else but you.
Listen, okay, listen, that's it. That's it. That's it. Enough
Yeah.
said. That was a closing line right there. Stop
Listen.
think that should be the title. Stop thinking it's everybody else but yourself. Okay. Boo, look in the mirror and then we can have a conversation.
Okay, listen, self-work, centering yourself starts with you.
It starts with you. It starts with you because we have more control over our lives than we think that we do. Some people want to say that, oh, I can't control. There's a lot of things that we don't have control over, but what we do have control over are emotions and our reactions. There's only about 1 to 2% of the population that have actually brain deformities where they don't have the brakes in their prefrontal cortex, which inhibits our impulses. There are certain people who don't, but guess what? Majority of us, we have control. And so we need to snatch back our control, take control of our situations and our relationship with ourselves so we can just be overall just happier and joyful and everything else.
Yes, we're manifesting happiness and joy
Yes.
in 2021
Yes.
because 2020 was a mess.
To say the least.
Okay, yes. So, Dr. Rogers, I want to say thank you so much for today. For anybody who is interested in staying up to date with you and the offerings, do you have anything exciting coming in 2021? If somebody's like, I need her to be my therapist, are you accepting clients at some point in 2021? What does that look like? How does somebody get in touch with you and stay up to date with all you have going on?
So I would say Instagram, which is underscore and then F, the number one, and then R3. So underscore F as in Frank, the number one R, and then the number three. And my website, the number seven, fire, FIRE, the number 8.com. And just for those who may be wondering, FIRE stands for Fearless Individuals Resistant to Entrapment. So whatever you're trying to resist entrapment to, that's when you become a fire. And in terms of clients, not right now. But you can still reach out to me because I might have a dope referral for you. But you can find me on Psychology Today and therapyforblackgirls.com. And I would also say, in terms of resources, Dr. Tama's podcast, Homecoming, I always shout her out because it is definitely, it's a good starting point. If you absolutely do not have any money for therapy, it's a good starting point that I would say helps people start to think of, I need to get into therapy. So,
Yes, Dr. Tama breaks it down. And can I just say, can you please tell Dr. Tama thank you for connecting us? Because
absolutely.
I'm like, when I reached out to her, I was like, your podcast changed my life. And she was like, well, sis, my plate is full, but let me connect you with Dr. Rogers because she's lit too. And our episode is evidence of that. So,
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am grateful. Yes, I would definitely tell her. She is amazing.
yes, thank you so much, Dr. Rogers. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. And I appreciate you having this platform where we can come and talk and drop gems all at the same time.
Y'all. I mean, when I tell y'all my heart is so warm right now. So here's a quick fun fact. First of all, I do all my editing and I like packaging of the podcast and all that. I do everything myself currently. We're going to work ourselves out of that in 2021, but that's not the point of the story. So I listen back to these shows and typically edit them before I add this little last bit into the show. So after listening back to this episode, wrapping up 2020 and looking forward to 2021, hello, hallelujah, I can't help but think about the fun I'm having with this show, the amazing women I'm meeting and or have known and get to reconnect with on this platform, and obviously the gems and resources that my guests and I have shared with each other. This episode was absolutely no exception, and it makes me super proud of the energy I wanted to cultivate with this podcast. Jamel, thank you so much for sharing your light, expertise, and big sis energy with us. If you enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed it, which was a lot, so yes. Please make sure to support Dr. Rogers' endeavors in helping and healing us. Again, her website is 7fire8.com. If you're listening to this, I want you to know heading into 2021, I really and truly want all the goodness that your path has for you to continue to blossom. And I hope you approach this year knowing, okay? Knowing that the best is yet to come. Happy New Year, y'all.